Right, hello folks. Right, I'm going to just do this little video to share with you some information that I've found out about, well, Comet Ison, which you may think is absolute poppycock, but I thought I'd just share it with you because if anybody thinks it's interesting or true or relevant, well, I'd just like to sort of put it into the melting pot of ideas, really. Basically, there's this website called educate-yourself.org, which I've got up here, and you know, it's been around for years. I used to, oh crikey, read all their sort of, they have like email, what's the word, collections. You know, when you used to be in those Yahoo groups years ago and you used to get all the emails in a lump that everyone sends. Anyway, I used to do that years ago, long before YouTube, and you know, they've been going for years, and what you do is you land on this educateyourself.org site, and there's all these topics here, and it tells you actually on the home page. I've clicked on to this, what I'm going to tell you about, but anyway, you land on the home page and you can subscribe to it, and it tells you all about it. Anyway, the point is there's all these headings here of various people, and I've clicked on this chap here, ZS Livingstone. Now, over the years I've found this chap to be quite on the ball, actually. You know, I always think, let's go and see what he's got to say about something, and I found over the years he's been quite accurate. This is the introduction here that the website owner said about him. I began receiving emails from a Canadian man named Zeronoth Star Livingstone, July 2002. He was commenting on the articles I was posting by Don Croft. However, his emails were really essays in their own right, with new and fascinating information, which I found to be tremendously insightful. I mean, this is the chap who owns the whole website that's telling you this. It took me a couple of months before I took the time to read his essays carefully, but once I did, I realised that he had something of importance to contribute, and I'm glad to be able to present his thoughts to a wider audience. At a later date, I will post a more thorough biography about ZS Livingstone, but for now I'll briefly mention that he received training from the Alpha and Omega Order of Melchizedek, whatever, from 1970 to 1981. Stands for the Golden Etheric Order of Melchizedek, or whatever it is, under the tutelage of David Livingstone. Anyway, it tells you a bit more about him there. Now, I've found, as I say, over the years, I mean, he said that, you know, but anyway, look, I'm just going to cut to the chase, or else I know what I'm like, I'm waffling on. I won't actually tell you what you've actually clicked on the interview, on the video to find out about. So, basically, these are all the essays that this chap's put in, which you can go and read them all. These are all from Livingstone. You know, and I've found them to be actually quite accurate over the years. Anyway, the point is this, right? So he puts this post on here. Update on Comet Linear nuking and plans to explode Comet Ison on far side of the sun. So I think he updated that on October 27th, which was an update to this one. Comet Linear was detonated with a nuclear device on October the 21st, 2013. Now, when you click on it, there's obviously, you can, I'm not going to read all of this, but you can basically see all of this, what he's talking about. And this is interesting here. It says, when Comet Holmes exploded in 2007, the debris field expanded to the size of Jupiter in a day and to the size of the sun in a week. The Comet Linear in the attached article was about a quarter of the diameter of the sun, about one day after its explosion. The debris field of Comet Holmes is in a comet orbit and now out past Saturn, going away from the sun and still expanding. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to read all this because I'm not going to read it all for you, but basically is saying that these comets have been exploded by nuclear deliberately. I don't know what, I hope this is going to be right. It says, exploding comets is a dangerous thing to do. Comets are living beings, they are ancient and wise. The plasma bodies extends hundreds of thousands of miles from their seed-like cores. The sun erupted with many flares since October 21st, 2013. The solar angels cried in anguish. I mean, it's quite a lot to read. I don't want to read all this, but anyway, the explosion velocity of 1 kilometre per second is proof of a nuclear blast. That's what they're basically saying. And he says that there's also 50 megaton bombs implanted into Comet Ison, which might sound absolutely crazy to you, I know, but anyway, there's an update here. You can read all about it. It says the being who survived the comet, survived the blast October 21st, is 83% of the comet core is intact. Now, I've not done loads of research. All I can tell you is that, you know, it's worth reading. It's worth reading this information, and then, you know, thinking about what you think. I mean, for what it's worth, this what he's saying in a nutshell is that these comets have all been exploded by nuclear, you know, explosions, and that the plan is the plan by the powers that be is to explode Comet Ison on the other side of the sun, thus producing a CME shock that's going to come out and destroy us all. But the sun is a very wise being, and he says that the sun won't do that. You know, he's got power. He's got faith in the power of the sun. This chap has, and over the years, you know, I've found he has been quite accurate. I mean, just a few things he talks about, of all sorts of very strange things. But for example, with the tsunami in Japan, you know, he talked about how there were strange devices that triggered that, could have been made. He talked about, he said he thought he looked into why everybody got fat over the past few years, and a fair few years ago now, he said he thought it was going to be hormones in milk production, but he found out to his surprise it was that weird sugar, you know, the not genetically modified sugar, is it? Yeah, corn starch stuff, corn sugar, corn fructose syrup, that's it. He said he's called out that Drumvelo chap as being as lying, basically, and he's something else that he said. Oh yeah, the other thing he says, which I think is actually true, is that actually you know, nuclear fallout stuff, radiation is the word, isn't it, is a psyop. Now I can believe this because I don't know if you watched any of my videos about, I'm going off waffling now, about when the wind blows, that film that we all grew up with, certainly in England in the 60s or 70s probably. It was probably 70s actually. It was all about, you know, the Cold War, you know, how we were all going to die from radiation that would silently kill us, and really, you know, I don't want to belittle this, and I'm sure I'm going to get, well, I don't really care if people give those thumbs down, but probably people will say, oh no, that's terrible, how can you suggest such nonsense? But you know, when the Fukushima disaster happened, I was thinking, oh no, that's it, we're all going to die of radiation. But actually, this chap says, you know, don't worry about it, it's a psyop. And actually, are we all dying of radiation? You know, are there swathes of people dying in Japan of radiation? And when you look at the bombs that have exploded, wasn't there those people, the praying people that were quite unharmed, the priests, when the nuclear bomb dropped? So there might be all sorts of things about nuclear that we don't know, that maybe the powers that be do know. I mean, obviously people have died. I'm sure it's not great if you're standing right beside one. All I know is that I better stop waffling now. It's food for thought, people. I was didn't know whether to do this video or not, but I'm a big believer in, you know, we should really all share information, and I think all these articles are well worth reading. I'll just click back here if it'll go through, and then he did an update here, update on Comet Linear nuking and plans to explode Comet Ison. So that's what you do. You go to educateyourself.org, and it's worth going to anyway, because there's all sorts of information on here. Colloidal, silver, chemtrails, sylphs, emerging diseases, forbidden cures, orgon, ozone, you name it. It's all in here. So anyway, there you go then, folks. I hope that was interesting, and I hope I've not waffled too much home. It's been quite clear for you. Thanks then. Bye.